everyone, in this tutorial I have a very special helper with me. This is Josiah, and today we are going to be baking
Mario Cupcakes!
Yes, we're going to be making Mario Cupcakes. The recipe for the cupcakes is down in the description box down below. You can go down there and click the link for the free recipe. Let's get started. For this tutorial, you're going to need corn flour. You also need a circle cutter the size of your cupcakes. You also need a cutter to cut your fondant. You can use a small paring knife, and you need rolling pins as well. And most importantly, you'll need fondant. I'm using a lot of pre-colored fondant, but you can also color your fondant using gel food colors and just plain white fondant. So let's begin. Okay, so we're going to make bases for our decorations to sit on. So I'm using white fondant. We want to put a little bit of corn flour just to stop the fondant from sticking on the bench. Would you like some? And we just want to pin this out to be approximately 3 millimeters thick. So I'm going to cut out as many circles as I can get. So I'm just going to pop my fondant circles onto this mat here, and I don't mind if it sits for quite a while and if it hardens up, because it'll be good if it actually gets hardened. It'll be a lot easier to stick onto our cupcakes later on. And 3. So we are mixing some skin tone fondant because it's really hard to buy skin tone fondant. So we've just added a little bit of peach and a little bit of brown food gel colouring into our white uncoloured fondant. Josiah's kneading it through, and we're going to use that to make our Mario cupcakes. Okay, so we're going to make Mario. We've got our flesh coloured fondant here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to roll out this fondant. And we want it a little bit thick because we are going to use a smaller cutter here. So the size of this is a bit smaller than what our base is. And we are going to cut out this Mario face. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to roll this out a little bit so that it becomes a little bit of an oval. We're going to be making a very cute Mario, so like a kawaii Mario. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit of water, paint that on. All right, next we're going to make his ears. I've got a little bowl of fondant here. I'm going to roll it out, and then I'm going to cut it in half. You can use the scissors. I'm basically going to get 2 little even pieces of fondant like that, and then just make a teardrop and then press it flat. Teardrop, press it flat, and then we're just going to stick this on to be his ears. I'm just using a little bit of water to stick everything on. Okay, now we need to make a little mustache for Mario. I'm using a little bit of black fondant, and then I'm going to use this scalloped round cutter. Try and get the smallest size you can. Cut the upper top part of that, and we can cut it down. Pop just a tiny bit of water, not too much, otherwise the black will start to seep out. And then we're going to add a big old nose. I want it to be not a circle, but an oval. Give it a little press, and then you can stick his old nose on. So now I've got a tiny bit of black here. And every time I do eyes or anything that needs to be split in half, you always start with one piece, cut it in an exact half, and that's how you get them both to be even. So I'm just going to roll them, just give it a little press. All right, so now we're going to do his hair. We're going to use a very, very dark brown. Just give him a bit of hair. It's all going to be covered by a big hat anyways, so we don't actually need a lot of definition in this hair. And then just use any tool. A Dresden tool will be best. Or you can use something like this just to draw some indentations. Mara's got a big round hat, and we're going to be using this red fondant, And then we want to have this rounded. We're basically trying to make a crescent shape. It's going to take a little bit of trial and error just to see what shape looks good. So we're trying to come up with this crescent shape, and we want to have a rounded edge. So I'm just going to cut that off just like so that we basically get like a banana shape. So that's part one of his hat. We're going to add a little flap around the front as well. And now we're going to add the little flap that happens around the front. I'm going to try and do it this way. And that's his hat done. So I've got some white edible food paint here, and I'm going to use the white paint to paint on a lot of the details. Now I am going to add a little sparkle to Mario's eye. I find that when you've got a little dot on the edge of each eye, it just looks very cute. And then we're going to add a little M. Now you can just paint M directly on. That will probably be easiest. But I'm going to go on right ahead and make this really complicated for myself. I'm going to go big circle, and then I'm going to go try make the outer part of the M. That's our Mario topper. Next up, we're going to do a little mushroom friend.
That's
This
him.
is Josiah's favorite. Yes, that's him. We're going to do him now. Okay, so we've got our fondant, we've rolled it out, and we are going to have quite a rounded shape. So I'm just going to nip that little bottom bit off, and then I'm going to basically round off the sides. And then I'm going to use a nozzle, and just at the very bottom, I'm going to cut that off.
Do that way.
Then we're going to use a little bit more water. I stick that on. Then we're going to make the bottom section. I'm just going to shape this one by hand. I'm not going to use cutters or anything. I'm just going to start out with a ball, press it down, and it's got a very stumpy shape. A little bit rounded. So you can just pull up a reference image of the mushroom and just follow that shape, and then attach it with your water. So I've got a teeny tiny bit of white fondant that I've rolled out, and I'm just going to cut out, yes, smaller side, and we're going to cut out a couple of not so little white dots. And we're using that round cutter just so we get our rounded sides to match up here. I'm going to try out long eyes. All right, and I'm going to do them a little bit oval, because in a lot of the illustrations you see online, they're a little bit oval, and I think that's so cute. So just a tiny bit of water, and stick them on. And then I'm just going to finish up with some white, and I'm just going to do those two little detail dots, just add that little sparkle. So we're going to make Yoshi. Got our green fondant.
Hold it up.
And we're going to roll this out. We're going to use a heart cutter to cut out a little heart shape. And then we are going to make a really huge, giant nose using the green as well. You can use a round cutter to do this, but I'm interested to see how just shaping it would work. Now we've got a little bit of our white fondant. I'm going to do another heart with that.
Why?
Very good question. It's because Yoshi has some whites inside his eyes. I'm going to use a smaller heart and see how we go.
Sometimes Yoshi has an oval one, and then he has nostrils.
Yes, so we can put some nostrils. So I'm just going to roll it out a little bit. We want the size of this heart to be a tiny bit smaller than the green portion. So I'm going to start sticking everything together.
Stick it on there, yeah.
I'm going to stick it on there. I'm going to put it a little bit higher up.
Where's the hairs in here?
It's a very giant nose. So we're just going to make his nostrils. I'm using my Dresden tool, just the very tip of it, to make two nostrils. All right, now we're going to do his very large eyes. So I'm going to start with my ball again. I'm going to flatten that down and give it a cut. And then I'm just going to have that pans out. That's rather good. So 2 half circles. I used a knife. And a final little flourish again. If you don't have edible art paints as well, edible food paints that you can use, you can also just use a little ball of fondant. Just roll up a teeny tiny ball and stick them on the edges with a little bit of water. All right, so now we're going to move on to probably one of the easiest ones, and that is the star. So I've got some yellow fondant, and I'm just going to roll it out, and then just go with a nice big star. This guy has oval eyes. So give it a roll, and then teeny tiny bit of water.
Where's the brass? Where's the brass? Where's the brass?
So you can actually do a big dot on top. Josiah likes to do this, a big dot on top, and then a little tiny dot next to it. Or you can just do one dot.
Hi guys, now we're gonna frost it.
Yes, we're going to frost our cupcakes. So we have our Swiss meringue buttercream inside our piping bags. If you want the recipe for this, again, it's down in the description box below. So I've got my piping bag in my hand, and we want to be squeezing this bit over here. Now we don't want to pipe this up really, really high. We don't want to have a really tall build of buttercream. We want to keep it quite flat, and we want to keep it quite even so that we can stick our toppers on top. And so, yes.
Can I do it like...
Yes, you can do, you want to do dots? Okay, Josiah's going to do dots, and I'm going to do a swirl. And you can do it any way you like. So I'm doing round it, and I'm stopping in the middle. And I'm just using a star nozzle here. Any star nozzle will do. You can even use a 3M nozzle as well. You just want a very simple rosette. And you don't even need to use a star nozzle. You can use a round nozzle, basically anything you like, so that we can attach our toppers on top. Because we're not actually going to be seeing very much of the buttercream, it doesn't really matter too much, and you can do it in a whole different way. Josiah's doing little blobs on top, and you can do that as well. Now kids, if you're having trouble with the buttercream oozing out of your piping bag, you can use one of these food clips. And that just stops the buttercream from oozing out. There you go, that might be a lot easier now. And decorate away. Okay, so now that we've finished our cupcakes, we are going to decorate them. And we're basically going to stick them right on top. Give them a little push just so that it adheres to the cupcake. And once you finish that, you are done.
Thanks for watching.
We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. All of the recipes can be found down in the description box down below, including this really, really delicious cupcake recipe. So we're gonna go ahead and eat this now, aren't we?
Bye.
Bye! To stay up to date with all new Sugar Cakes videos and tutorials, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on your notifications so you're not missing out on any new content. Catch you guys later!